What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show presented by BetUS. Today, the Blazers get their second win in a row. They are now 2-3 on the season, and this was a very fun comeback to watch, Eric, as the Blazers came back from 18 down in the first half. They were down 12 at halftime, but they improved the defense. Sharp starts going off. He had a phenomenal game, and his scoring average is now over 20 a game. And my video that I dropped yesterday didn't jinx him, talking about him breaking out into a star, and he looked like an absolute star tonight. Best player on the court, and this was a really fun game. The Blazers' big men played well. Brogdon poured in some buckets off the bench when this offense sorely needed it, and the Blazers locked down the Pistons down the stretch. DeAndre 8 and 5 steals, Robert Williams, good defense. Man, this was a fun game. Eric, how you feeling? That's 2 wins in a row, and this team is looking better.
I was kind of hyped watching that second half, man. I'm not going to lie. What's
Missed
up,
the
chat?
feeling, huh?
Yeah. What's up, everybody? Happy to have you along for the show tonight. Thanks for tuning in. I was writing down mostly negative stuff, especially that, I don't know, it was pretty bad at times in the first half. There was a couple good things, but I was very excited to get to write down some positive stuff on the second half.
Yeah, we got some positive things to talk about, man, and numerous good individual performances to talk about, as well as a couple good actions that we also need to talk about in this game. But before we jump into things, we got a donation from Max4Set, $2 donation, or I think that's currencies. I am rusty.
That's pounds.
£2 donation. Shout out to Max for the £2 donation. Says Shea gets better and better each game. 79-3 incoming. Yeah, I mean, if the Blazers keep up at the pace they've been at over the last 2 games, they will be 79-3, because the last 2 games, that's 2 dubs. 2 good defensive performances in the second half. And Shaedon, man, we talked about him last game. I talked about him in my video. But something we talked about on the last post-game show was how we wanted Shaedon working off more curls.
Yeah.
And today, they started spamming curls for Shaedon, and Lamar Hurd was talking about how lethal he was off curls. And it was like, man, it was kind of funny to talk about how much we wanted to see it, how good he is off of it, and then the very next game, the Blazers just start spamming it. And there was a stretch there in the, I think it was in the second half when they were making their comeback, when Shaedon curled a screen, got a really good finish at the rim. The next time the defender went under because he was worried about that, and Shaedon read it correctly and popped for 3. And then the very next time, the defender played a little better, and Shaedon worked it into a pick and roll. He ended up getting his shot blocked, but it was like Shaedon just making the right reads off curls. And this is what we're talking about. Like, when he has a head of steam in space, he's so hard to stop. And when you just play him in ISO, like, he can definitely score the ball. But, you know, it's not as easy to get a head of steam. And the Blazers finally started just running screens away for him and getting him to curl those in the head of steam downhill at the rim, and he made Detroit pay. So love that action, love that they went to it, and I think it got Sharp going. It got him a couple of his easiest buckets of the game. So props to Chauncey for doing more of that and then realizing that it was working and really making use of it.
Yeah, his reads in the second half of this game were off the charts in terms of making the right decision almost every time in a split second coming off that screen. And that's why we've been just dying for the off-ball action, right, Tori?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've just been asking for this, because that's how you get players like Sharp involved. And then you just give him the ball and let him drive to the hoop when we get into the penalty, and or we get into the bonus, and just let him absorb contact and just make a living at the free throw line then, because he did a great job. I said with 8:37 left to you and other people in a chat that we're in the bonus the rest of the game. We need to win this at the free throw line, and Sharp was getting to the line. Now we have a Pistons fan in here saying that the refs were crap or whatever, but there was contact every time on his drives. So make the refs call that and get to the line, and that's how you earn a living. And I wrote down in the first half, this is what I wrote: can we get Sharp involved or not? Like,
Yeah.
What were we doing? Like, Sharp's just out there doing nothing. Like, we're running no plays for him. He just kind of, like, I don't know, like he was playing, but he wasn't playing, and then he falls asleep on defense a couple of times. And then all of a sudden in the third quarter, you get him going, you run some plays for him. It was obvious they were trying to get him involved. And then all of a sudden he was like making stops all over the court, like his hands were everywhere. And he looked like a completely different player. And he looked like the star player that we're all hoping he can become.
Yeah, and what's one thing that stars do, Eric? They get to the free throw line. They draw fouls. They go at the heart of the defense when they're an athletic freak like Shaedon Sharpe. And that's what Shaedon Sharpe did, man. 10 free throw attempts today, 8 for 10 from the line. You could maybe say a couple of those foul calls were calls that maybe couldn't have been, or shouldn't have been made, or maybe were ticky-tack or this or that. But here's the thing. Stars, you can always argue that, oh, maybe they shouldn't have gotten to the line as many times as they did in this game. But guess what? They get to the line as much as they do. And with Sharpe, he put the onus on the refs, just driving at the heart of that defense.
Yep.
He wasn't sitting there like, oh, there's a defender at the rim, I'm going to settle for a mid-range. Like, in his mid-range game has been improving. I'm perfectly okay with him shooting an open pull-up mid-ranger. Mm-hmm. But he was just going at guys. He was going at guys. And that's what I love. And that's what stars do. They just attack, and they just go at guys, and they're able to finish around guys, finish around shot blockers. He had that nice little, like, I think it was like a hop step and elevated and finished around Marvin Bagley, who was trying to take a charge. He like jumped to the side and just contorted his body. And, he's a really good athlete, but also he's just so good at contorting in the air and getting off layups at different angles. Like, he's really, really hard to block. And that's part of the reason why he should be a guy that should pick up fouls, because you really have to try in order to stop him at the rim, in order to bother or block his shot, because he's getting craftier. He's contorting his body. He's getting up in the air. So, that's just the star level evolution that I think is a ton of fun to watch with a young team when you got a guy like Shaedon Sharpe that I fully expect him. I mean, I was sitting here saying be a little patient this offseason. I mean, my patience is gone, and that's a good thing. It's gone for a good reason, because, dude, like, 5 assists today, he read the floor, had some impressive defensive moments, 2 blocks in this game. He's still not perfect on that end, but the progress is there. Rebounding the ball, like everything I talked about in that video I dropped yesterday, he showcased to the full extent today, and why he should be taken seriously as, at this point, maybe the front runner for most improved. Normally, I don't like second-year guys getting it, but where he is now compared to where he was a year ago is just insane. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, I've never bought the second-year players should get downgraded because of that, but
doubled his scoring average so far. He's above 20 a game now.
Yeah. And the other thing about giving him the ball late in games is because he's so good at finishing and contorting his body, like you said, the defense has to like try and do something to stop that, and that's why it's so easy for him to get to the line. And whether they're like big time, like obvious fouls or not, like, you can't just body someone in the air. And so yeah, like, just put all the pressure on the refs to call that. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I thought he did a great job of absorbing that contact. He's eventually going to start getting and ones too out of those, which will be really good. But yeah, I liked that they ran him off ball. I thought on ball, I don't know, like at times in this game, I thought on ball was not the right move for him. But at the end, it definitely was once we got them in the bonus.
Yeah, shout out to Stephen Powers, $5 donation. Says, Dom and Ayton was on display tonight. We will talk about Ayton because this was easily his best game as a Blazer, and he had a pretty good game last game with 23 rebounds, but I think it was his highest scoring game as a Blazer, and then defensively, I thought he had some really impressive moments as well. Both our centers, Robert Williams, I thought this was his best defensive game too. Now, it's a little easier with Jalen Duren not playing in this game for the Pistons. Right. He's been great, but still, man, like, we had centers in Zubac and Mo Wagner go off against us. So it's nice that Ayton and Robert Williams are showing a little bit more of what we were expecting out of them going into the season. But, dude, like, we talked about with trading Dame, like the Blazers need a new face of the franchise, and like who is that going to be? And a lot of people did say Sharp, people said Scoot, and I think, you could still make a case for him. I think he was primed for another step up this year. I thought his defense looked good in the first game, and just the way he was attacking in the first game was promising. Like, I still think there's a chance that Ant has a future on this Blazer team, even with Shaedon Sharp and Scoot Henderson. Like, the way Sharp is playing defensively is making me more confident that he can play the small forward spot next to those guys. And Scoot and Ant, I don't think have to be destined to be a bad defensive backcourt. I think they can be okay and solid. So Sharp, though, man, right now he's looking like the best player on the team, at least that's healthy, and he's basically taking control. And right now he is slowly, it's a slow process to become the face of a franchise, but I think he's starting to become the face of the franchise right now, man. Just phenomenal stuff. At 20 years old, we have to remember he's 20. This was supposed to be his rookie season. If this was his rookie season, we'd be talking about, like, is this dude gonna have the greatest rookie season since, like, Blake Griffin?
I mean, Luka had a pretty good rookie season, but
Luka did too. But I mean, this would rival that. Just he's 20, bro. He's doing this at 20 years old, man.
Yeah, I think the next step for him is just to not have those lulls where it's like he doesn't know how much he can dominate a game. It's crazy. Like, it's like once he realizes how easy he can score, how easy he can make things just by moving and staying focused. I think once he has that mindset change to where he's always in that mode, that'll be the difference between him being just like a really good player and a star. Yeah.
And there's a great comment in chat from Rob Dryan says he's still 2 years younger than Roy or Dame's rookie years. Mm-hmm. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. And it's like he was an athlete coming into the league, and the question was, like, okay, how much does he have to rely upon the athleticism? He's relying upon it for his finishes, but just, like, he's playing so smooth, good pace, like, just kind of floating out there in a good way, There's floating in a bad way, and there's floating in a good way. Like, he just looks so effortless. And I don't know where his ceiling is, bro, because if he's doing this at 20 and has improved as much as he has in the past year, and with his athletic gifts, his 7-foot wingspan, what's his ceiling? Is it a top 5 player in the league? Is it a top 10 player in the league? Like, his ceiling has to be somewhere in there if he's doing this at 20 years old, given how much he's improved, man. I mean, the sky's the limit for Shaedon Sharp, dude, and this is what I was hoping out of this season, right? We didn't really know what to expect. We thought there was going to be some struggles, and the first 3 games looked really, really bad. But you want to see these young guys like start to make a name for themselves in this league. You want to see these young guys really take a step forward, improve areas of their game that they need to, and that's the fun in rebuilding. It's a tough process, but that's the fun in it. This is fun, man. Watching Sharp play is an absolute joy right now. So shout out to him. Shout out for the improvements he's made from the end of last season to this season. Shout out to us for, maybe slightly worrying about, like, his preseason and summer league where he was struggling, and it just seemed like he didn't really care because he knew he was about to come out here and dominate the regular season for the Blazers. So, averaging 20 a game. Turnovers kept them in check today. Efficiency, I think, is above last year after this game. This is a really efficient performance. So, love Shaedon Sharp right now, man.
To take a step back for just a second, though, he did look like that Sharp in the first half of this game. Like, it's not like he had a completely dominant game and looked like a superstar the whole time. Like, and that's like mostly, like, I'll give him a pass because he's 20, but we've seen it so far this year several times, him looking like his preseason / summer league self, and then all of a sudden he just turns it into another gear and he's fine. But you are still seeing him at times just float around and not really be aggressive or take control of the game.
Yeah. That just shows me he still has a ton of room for an improvement in a game like this where he was the best player on the court, you know what I mean? At 20 years old. Like imagine if he just, that second half, Imagine if he just found that a little bit more consistently. At that point, he's a 25 to 30 point per game scorer. Like that's the next step. And it's going to take some time because the thing is a lot of NBA players are supremely talented. Most of them can't jump like Shaedon Sharpe, so he does have an edge there, but a lot of them are supremely talented. Being great in the NBA comes down to consistency as much as anything else. Like being able to consistently do what you're good at, consistently hit shots, consistently get to your spots, consistently score the ball. He still hasn't found that consistency yet, but that second half shows you that like he can do it for a half, and it shows you that we should have full optimism in him being able to continue to progress towards being able to consistently do that game in and game out. And, even great players have games where they struggle. For him, as you said, it's a little bit of like, offensively, he'll kind of not take charge and be assertive. But if he was 26, and we're like, he needs to be assertive, then maybe it's like, oh, he just doesn't have that mindset. But he's 20, like this is still very new to him. So I think give him more time and he'll figure out how to consistently assert himself more and really make use of what he can do on the basketball floor.
Yeah, absolutely. And so someone in chat saying, why are you hating on him, Eric? Like, how is that hating? Like, people need to chill a little bit.
That's a positive. You can take that as a positive, believe it or not. That right. He had a stretch of this game where he was just like not fully engaged offensively, and he still dominated the game. At the end of the day, he's still statistically the best player on the floor. He still put up 29, 7, and 5 on 9 for 16 shooting. But and it shows you that there's a whole stretch for an improvement. That's not a bad thing. Like that's more area for growth.
And this is exactly why I don't get excited about Grant and Brogdon ISOs and stuff, because that takes away from possibly running offense through Sharpe, and I want them to run plays for him and not stand there and watch those guys go dribble the ball for 10 seconds and take a bad shot. So like this is me saying I want Sharpe to get more involved throughout the game, and in the first half we'll talk about Ayton in a minute, but like they definitely made a conscious effort to get Ayton involved in this game offensively. And that might have been part of it. Like the game plan was to get Ayton some looks early. And when that happens, and then you have Grant and Brogdon coming in and stuff, like it's hard to get Sharpe a bunch of touches or whatever. So that's why I would just like a little bit more Sharpe and less Brogdon and Grant.
Yeah, and like Brogdon, when Sharpe's out of the game, needs to be aggressive. Mm-hmm. This offense has a lot of lulls.
Yeah.
When Brogdon's in with Sharpe, and like with Grant, I think he should be a little bit more passive. Like, you want him to pick his spots and score where it's there. He does over dribble a lot though. In just kind of like he'll have stretches where he has the ball for 10, 12 seconds and nothing's there and he doesn't give it up. So that's the thing with Brogdon, is that's why he's like a bench player, is because he's very aggressive, and that's fine for the most part. Like he was our leading scorer going into this game at like 19 a game and doing it like on solid efficiency, shooting over 40% from 3. It's just like Sharpe is the number one guy on this team. When he's out there with Brogdon, it feels like, just in terms of style of play, plays like he's the number one on this team. Grant plays like he's the number one on this team. But those two guys are not the most talented scorers on this team. It's Anthony Simons when he's healthy, and it's Shaedon Sharpe.
Yep. Yeah, I was. It's so weird though how defense can be affected by how you're playing on offense. I know it's true for like every player, but so I didn't clip this for Brant's breakdown, but there was twice where he just was completely stuck ball watching, and his guy Usher both times cut backdoor, and he just stood there, and it was just part of like his whole game. Like he was doing that, and he wasn't involved on offense. And then in the second half, he's involved on offense, and he's flying around on defense. He's not making any mistakes off ball. He's like perfect position. He's making good reads and stuff. Like, there's definitely a correlation with him. So I would definitely run those curl screens for him early in the game and get him going.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, like, the fact that we have to sit here and kind of like nitpick things to criticize him about when he's 20, like, is phenomenal. You know what I mean? Like that second half, legitimately. I mean, I think he missed a couple shots, got blocked on one, but it's like he's being aggressive, and that's what I want. Like, there's really literally nothing to criticize him for at all in that second half, which is very, very rare. Like, on both sides of the ball, passing the ball, decision-making, score, like, just everything was freaking optimal for him. So, and with Shaden, man, it's like, you see it. You see it. Like, I'm not somebody that normally uses eye test, right? But you see the qualities of a star, in my opinion. Like, we got a guy like comparing him to Nasir Little in chat, and it's like Nasir Little never made scoring look easy like Shaden Sharp does. Nasir Little was never as consistent of a shooter as Sharp was even last year, right? Like, Sharp 36% from three. Nasir was a little bit better, but he was more like wildly inconsistent, and Sharp is doing shots off the dribble, like shots off the move, etc., more than Nasir Little does. So, you know, like, it's we've had high upside guys in the past that haven't really panned out. But with Sharp, like, he commands the pace of the game off the dribble at 20 years old. Nasir Little was never a guy that you'd see bringing the ball up and, like, commanding the pace of a game, running a pick and roll, keeping his defender on his back, and then going downhill and making a play, and then, like, dishing out to the corner because he draws two defenders, you know? Like, that's star qualities right there. And controlling the pace of a game as a score/playmaker is what stars do best. Just look at Luka. Just look at Dame, right? They control the offense in a good way. Sharp is starting to control the offense in a good way. With Anthony Simons down, it gives him a little bit more responsibility to do so. So maybe the Anthony Simons injury, like, the silver lining to it is it gives Shaden Sharp, A, the opportunity to start, because for some reason we weren't starting him at the start of the year, and then B, gives him that responsibility to continue to grow that, and this is why I didn't want to bring him off the bench. When Sharp has more responsibility, he's grown exponentially more, in my opinion. Like, that stretch where they were tanking last year gave him the opportunity to learn how to run an offense and start to learn how to, like, control the pace of an offense, control the pace of the game, like, ball in his hands, like, he doesn't have to play sped up to score, like, he can slow things down, make reads, start dishing the ball out, and that's why you saw his assists go from basically non-existent to, like, 4 a game in April last year in, like, the 4 games he played. Like, he became a passer. We saw it. We don't even need stats to back that up. We saw him start to make the right reads. Given the start of this year, like, he's continued to grow with that. And that's star level stuff, man. Like, I there's really no other way around it. And I'm the guy who preaches patience on prospects. I preached it with Ant. I preached it with Nasir Little. I preached it with Scoot. I am not the type to sit here and be like, yeah, this guy's a star because of one game. I am very, like, cynical at times with, oh, this guy can pan out for us. This prospect can work out for us. Like, that sort of positivity. I am a little bit more pessimistic, okay? I don't know what else to tell you with Shaden Sharp. That dude's going to be a star. Like, I don't have any doubts about him becoming a star caliber player because, I mean, to start this season, I already think he's playing like a star caliber player.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I loved about his game tonight is he showed he can affect the game both on ball and off ball. And you have to account for him. They had that got to give Chauncey some credit tonight for some creative stuff on both ends of the floor. That one play out of a timeout where Skylar Mays, like, dribbled right at Sharp's guy, and then Sharp cut baseline, and he threw the pass up to him from that side of the court. That was an amazing play.
Like, the angle that lob went to Sharp, and then the way he dunked it was sick.
Yeah. But I think, like, that kind of stuff where, I mean, because no one wants to get dunked on, so they're always, like, since very early last season, in his rookie year, the other teams have had to account for that backdoor cut or back screen for a lob type play. And so if you're the type of player who can get that much attention off ball, and then if you start running those curl screens and you're making good reads on if the defense, like you mentioned, the defender goes under and through too fast, then you just pop out and you're wide open for three. And if he trails you, you just keep curling and you should get the pass going to the basket. And if he kind of plays in between, you can just pop to the free throw line and shoot a 15-foot jumper. So there's so many things you can do with that, and it makes like half of the defense, or at least 2 out of the 5 guys, have to be watching where Sharp is at all times versus focusing on the ball and your man. So just him being able to do some stuff off ball is going to open up a lot of things, especially when Simons gets back and when Scoot becomes a little bit better at figuring out how and when to attack a defense.
Yeah, I want to see those 3 guys play next to each other, with Scoot being a little bit more, comfortable and optimal. Hopefully he's back soon. He sprained his ankle in this game and left. Didn't seem too bad, but, sprains are tricky. I sprained my ankle almost 2 months ago. I'm still, it's still swollen a little bit, and, it hasn't really gotten better in a month, man. So, I know ankle sprains are tricky. Some are bad right away and then are fine 5 days later. Some don't seem too bad right away and then continue to linger, continue to bother you. So, Scoot, just get that thing healthy. Don't start playing on it before it's 100%. And the Blazers have, guards that can run the ship. They got Brogdon. They got Skylar Mays. Scoot, I want to talk.
Well, they're starting to not have enough guards.
Yeah, well, you can't lose one of those 2, I guess. And Skylar Mays wasn't that good today. I kind of just would have rather ran point Sharp at that point, but Sharp was playing good off the ball, so you kind of need some guy there to initiate things a bit. But Scoot, let's talk a little bit about him. So he had, in my opinion, you could put it up with the last game, but this might have been the best game of his season. He was 11 points, 7 assists, only 3 turnovers, and was 4 for 10 from the field. Hit a 3, Eric, which is good to see because he's been struggling from behind the 3-point line. Hit it off the dribble. He then shot a step back 3 and airballed. So that was maybe his worst 3-point attempt of the year. A little too ambitious there, but overall, I mean, he just looks more comfortable controlling the pace and kind of took over the game a little bit with his passing. I think that stretch there when the Blazers were making their comeback was the best glimpse of the Scoot Henderson that we expect him to be.
Yeah, I thought it was a brilliant play design at the beginning of the game, right off the jump, because you get Scoot throwing the pass and you get Ayton involved within seconds of the tip, right? So, and it was definitely a design play because Sharp comes up and sets a back screen for Ayton. Man, what an awesome time to run that action. The defense definitely wasn't expecting that, and now they have to play it like that's going to happen every game, right? So that was really cool to see. I felt like that got Scoot pumped up, it got Ayton pumped up, and I really liked that. And then the energy and effort level from everyone, including Scoot, was really good right at the start of this game, and it was also really good at the beginning of the second half as well. So that's encouraging too, just to see that energy and effort. It very much tailed off in the first half, and it felt like it was going to be one of those, oh man, last game of a road trip early in the season. Could very easily mail it in. So I thought everyone, including Scoot, did a good job of battling through that and playing a little harder to make up for some of the energy things after the good start. But man, the only critique I have of Scoot is he has got to find a way to protect the ball on drives. He had all three of his turnovers, I think, were just getting stripped in the middle of the paint on drives when he's in traffic. And I think he lost the ball a couple other times. He just happened to get it back or whatever. But there was way too many times as the point guard where you're just too loose with the ball and you get it knocked away. And you can't just keep driving into traffic and losing the ball like that.
Yeah, which is weird because, in G League, he would wrap it up like a football player and wouldn't
Right.
get stripped, and then would go dunk it. So I want to see more of that. He's a little bit like timid given the shot blockers. He needs to read the shot blocker better, and like know when his shot isn't there and when to dish it and when he can be explosive going towards the rim. Because in the G League, it was like he would get towards his last two steps and he would just wrap up and like going up and dunking on people without a worry and wasn't getting stripped. Now it's like, even on his drives, I think he's reading the game better, but he's like unsure of whether to try and go up and pass, so he's not even seeing the guy digging at the ball. He's not even seeing the stuff out of his peripheral vision that are like the guys that are digging in on these drives and stripping the ball from him, and he's not like going up aggressively where he's like sheltering the ball and then exploding like he was in the G League. So, like I think he'll get better at that, and it would help to have a little bit more shooting around him. That's where I think like Ant would help Scoot a lot right now if he just had Ant on his side of the floor when he drives and knows like, okay, if I kick the ball out to this dude, he's knocking down a three. And defenders respect Ant more than any other shooter on our team. I think with a little bit more spacing, Scoot would look a bit better driving to the rim and maybe not get stripped on these plays. So the Blazers, to start this game in the first half, had 2 threes. They were like 2 for 9. So spacing and shooting, definitely there is room for improvement. The Blazers started knocking down shots there in the second half, got it to a respectable 35%, 7 for 20, but still 7 threes made on the game. Like, that's a very low number, especially for what we're used to. So,
Right.
that is an area of improvement for sure, though.
Yeah, so I wrote down a couple things. One about, I put down no 3-point pressure. It's like when no teams fear you to shoot threes, it's really hard to run the kind of offense they were running, especially in that first half. And the other thing I noticed a lot in this game was they get to the paint a lot, but they never put pressure on the rim. Or at least in the first half of this game, and it's been several games going up to that. And what I mean by that is almost all of the passes, especially to Ayton, in the first half of this game were him like 8 to 12 feet away from the basket. And the ball handler, most of the time Scoot, would always pass when he gets to about 8 feet away from the basket. Like, he never was taking it all the way to the basket. And Detroit, with like Cade and Ivy when he came in, they were getting all the way to the rim, making the big commit to him at the rim, and then they just dump it off to a guy next to him or that guy's man, and he'd have an easy dunk. Whereas we're catching the ball 10 feet away from the hoop and having to make another move after you catch it to score. And in the second half, they came out and Scoot had a nice wraparound handoff to, I don't know if it was Ayton or someone else, but someone got a dunk out of it. And then he drove baseline, got all the way into the basket, and scooped it to Ayton for another dunk. And so they made a slight adjustment there, and Scoot was getting actually just a step or two further before he looked to pass. So just take care of the ball through all that, get to the rim, and then dish it off from there. And you should have kick out lanes to the corners, and you should have a big somewhere around the basket to dump it off to. And maybe even there was a time in this game too where Scoot threw a low pass to Ayton when Ayton was telling him to throw it higher. So that'll get better too as they play together. But I feel like there's so many times the Blazers can just throw it up near the rim with how many athletes they have now, and good things would happen.
Yeah, absolutely agree. There's times on fast breaks where I feel like Sharp, maybe you could throw a lob to him. Like, the one thing we haven't seen from Sharp this year is like a huge dunk.
Crazy. Yeah. There was a play where he cut like 3 times. It was a fast break. They missed him. And then he cut twice later on in the same play, and they missed him both times. So I'm just like, no, just throw it anywhere near the rim, and he's got like a monster dunk.
You know who threw him really good lobs and was always looking for him that we kind of maybe miss in that regard is Trendon Watford.
Oh, Trendon. Yeah.
Trent Watford was like always pushing the pace as a front court player and like looking for Sharp on those lobs. They connected on quite a few, and it's like I feel like the players out there with Sharp aren't looking for him enough on some of these plays where he's able to get behind the defense, especially in transition. And speaking of transition, like, bro, Eric, do you know how many fast break points we had today?
No.
Guess.
I'm trying to think of fast break. I feel like we ran a little bit, but I don't know if we scored that much.
Yeah, so what's your guess?
I don't know, like 10.
3.
3.
3 fast break points for the Blazers today. And it's not like Detroit
good.
wasn't turning it over. They had 18 turnovers.
It felt like we were running, yeah.
Just weird, man. Like, we play like one of the slowest paces in the league, and that's something that I was just dead wrong on. Like, I thought we were going to be one of the fastest paced teams in the league, get out in transition and do our damage there. Not at all. Not at all. We just legitimately don't run. Like, why is that? Because we forced turnovers today, got stops in the second half. Is it just like, I don't know, like not having a big forward ball handler to push the pace and put pressure on the defense? Is it like we're not getting the ball out fast enough? I'm just really confused why we don't run more.
I felt like they were trying to at the beginning of both halves. I felt like they really were trying to run. They just, I don't know, give Detroit credit in this one. I think they did a good job of getting back.
I'll also say they are one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the league, and we only gave up 6 offensive rebounds, so guys weren't really leaking out. Like we were staying home and boxing out and rebounding.
When Jalen Duren doesn't play, that helps a lot because he's been absolutely murdering the boards this year. I think he's averaging like 15 rebounds a game. But to me, it's more of like the team we played, and one man in particular, Osir Thompson. That guy, he just gets up and down the court so quickly. So it's like even if you're trying to run, like he was getting back really fast, and he can be really disruptive with his length on defense. So like I feel like that guy alone can kind of break up a lot of fast breaks. So I don't know. Maybe it was just that Detroit did a pretty good job of getting back.
Yeah, definitely could be that. Let me thank a donation. Shout out to Jesse Anisin. It's good to see you, Jesse. It's been a minute. 25 Romanian Dono says, Sharp, amazing. I loved how Scoot looked early today. Also, Kamara, so solid. Also, Ayton, love it. Yeah, we're going to talk about Kamara. We're going to talk about DeAndre Ayton, too, because DeAndre Ayton, I think this was his best game as a Blazer, and he had some huge defensive plays there in the second half. 5 steals for DA, man. Mm-hmm. You love to see it. You love to see it.
Yep. Felt like Ayton played really under control. He's a man. I think he can be a decent passer too. Like you could run some offense through him in the high post. I think you could also do that with Rob Williams. But yeah, I really enjoyed watching Ayton play today, and I just have to say Tori, Ayton's getting me, man.
Is he getting you?
He's getting me. I'm becoming an Ayton fan.
Oh man,
it's tough because you always have that thing in the back of your mind that at any moment his attitude could shift and he could become a problem. But that's the same reason why I didn't want to trade for Ben Simmons for a long time, right? Because like he could have played good all season, but in the playoffs when it mattered, would Ben Simmons like come up mentally small again, and in the big moment, and you would never know until that moment happens, right? But man, Ayton's really he's really playing really winning me over here, man. Just he's been really solid. He doesn't make a lot of stupid mistakes out there. He's given good effort. His defense has been better than I thought it would be. His rebounding has obviously been elite and been really good. And I like that he's not forcing a ton of shots on offense. Like all his shots pretty much, outside of maybe one or two this season, have been within the flow of the offense. He's setting pretty good screens. I mean, they're not like elite level screens, but they're good enough. And he's even doing some stuff within the offense, like I said, with his passing. So yeah, I'm starting to become an Ayton fan. You're muted.
I am. I love the way he played today. Efficient night too, 8 for 13. Just the steals, the activity, didn't really force shots, hit a couple of mid-ranges, but I thought they were, okay shots and taken within the flow of the offense, weren't really forced. So, yeah, I mean, his energy, I think, has been good. I think he's been playing hard, which I like to see. And overall, yeah, no complaints with Ayton, man. He's been good for sure.
Yeah, you'd like to see him maybe get to the line a little bit more than he is. He tends to fade away a lot in the post instead of going into contact, which might be an adjustment he can make. And yeah, like chat mentions, there was, I forgot if it was Scoot or someone else, but someone in the first half dropped him such a nice pass. He was wide open
Scoot,
for a dunk,
yeah.
and he just dropped the ball. You can't do that, but yeah, so maybe find a way to catch those a little better. But other than that, yeah, he played great tonight.
Yeah, 100%. Really happy with DeAndre Ayton. Before we talk about Tamani Kamara and a couple other players, this stream is brought to you by BetUS. They are one of the leading sports books out there. They have really good customer service, really reliable sportsbook. Sportsbook sponsor all season long. If you use our link in the description box below, you receive a 125% bonus, which means $100 down, and you'll get $125 in free betting money that you can put in on parlays, live betting. They have every sport imaginable. They have you covered all season long, and I enjoy looking at like betting lines mid-game, man, and seeing like what are the odds this team comes back, what are the odds that this player gets this amount of points. They got over-unders for points, rebounds, assists, all sorts of things. So I've been featuring them in pregame videos making picks. I did that on opening night, and the next pregame video I will also plan to do that. And it's always fun just to see, just to see if you can call the action that happens out on the court. I wish there was a line for Shaden Sharp curls and how many points he'd score off them, because I'm a believer in Shaden Sharp curling the screen. We talked about last post-game show. This post-game show came out, dominated off of them. So shout out to them for being a huge supporter of the channel. Also partnered with them to put out an athlete and creator show. I basically, so Eric, I spent almost 24 hours straight working on a show that is a new podcast between Philly Take with RB, who's a big-time YouTuber, covers the Sixers, has over 30,000 subs, does really good work, actually, and then Paul Reed of the Philadelphia 76ers. They just dropped their first episode, their first podcast, and BetUS was on with us for that, so shout out to them. If you guys want to do some sports betting, if you guys want to pick some parlays, they are your number one stop. Use that link in the description box below, and you can receive that 125% bonus. And also, if you want to check out that Paul Reed episode, there is a link to the channel. It's Hog Media Sports in the description, and I'll also post it in the live chat if you guys want to go check out that episode later tonight. If you guys want to go subscribe. Pretty cool to be able to work on a show with an NBA athlete.
Yeah, awesome. Congrats on that first episode coming out.
Thanks, man. Thanks, man. Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it was quite a bit of work, just like trying to get the production right and make sure the audio is good, and there's a lot that goes into it. So, but doing this channel has like prepared me to be able to do stuff like that. Like everything that I've tried to do in terms of pushing the envelope for Blazers Uprise has put me in a position to be able to like help other people and produce other things. And like this is where it all started. So, pretty cool for me to be able to like take some of what I do for this channel and help out other productions, other people. So, And appreciate you guys for making that possible, because without you guys, I wouldn't have a channel and I wouldn't be doing this. So you guys mean the world to me.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Look at that score at the bottom of the screen. Oh, it just changed. Our next opponent is the Memphis Grizzlies, Eric. They're 0-4, and they're down 33 points right now.
Nice.
The Blazers play them the next 2 games. Are the Blazers going to be above 500?
Maybe.
We're going to have to bring back the standings graphic.
Real quick, can I say one more thing about Ayton?
Yeah, go ahead. We can go back to Ayton. We can go wherever you want, man.
Just for a second.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is just eye test or if there's like analytics that back this up, but I feel like on offense, when he catches the ball, if he's moving towards the basket when he catches it, he's like almost automatic. And when he catches it like stopped, it's a lot harder for him to score. Like he's a lot less efficient that way. So like I want him to get the ball going downhill towards the basket a lot. I feel like he's pretty unguardable in those situations.
Yeah, and you can do that with some designed actions. I would love to work in like a counter to sharp screens, like say that gets shut down, like trying to figure out a way to get Ayton into the middle of the paint after that screen. ESPN ad, apologies. Like Ayton a lot of times is going to be the big man, like screening away for Sharp to curl. If that's not there and Sharp curls through or stays in the corner, I'd love to figure out a way to get Ayton moving towards the middle of the paint in space and get him the ball as like a secondary option to that, and kind of building out a set, building out a couple of actions that play to guys' strengths, because that's what it's about in terms of coaching basketball. Is like one size does not fit all, one system does not fit every roster. You got to design things to get players to their strengths, and that's why we were talking about curls with Shane Sharp, because you're getting him in space, especially going to his right hand where he can finish around anyone over anyone, and then they go under and he can pop back for 3 and he's a good shooter. So you're really playing to his strengths by running that action, and that's the thing with Ayton, is you can get him good shots in the paint just through designed actions, especially if it's off of something like a Shaden Sharp curl. I don't know exactly how you do it, but a Shaden Sharp curl is going to draw a lot of attention. A lot of times good sets, good systems will use a star player on offense and the attention that they draw to open up something for somebody else if that's not there. So I want Chauncey to continue building out this system, continuing to adapt from last year, because I think, a guy like Ayton can play off a guy like Sharp. A lot of times if Sharp catches the ball on the curl, it can turn into a pick and roll. If both defenders go with Sharp and Ayton rolls, that's a lob. But yeah, Ayton today, who'd he catch that lob from? He had a lob from someone, didn't he?
Well, he had a lob out
not at the start of the game, but there was one like half-court lob.
Yeah, I think was that Scoot? I don't know. I don't remember.
I forget who it was, but
Sharp had that nice pass to him. It's too bad Asur was there guarding him, because he was open down the middle, and Asur just did a really good job of knocking that pass away. But Sharp had him for a dunk.
Yeah. Is it a Sir or is it a Sar?
I don't know.
I just want to make sure I pronounce it right, because he was good today. He was good. Like, his 3-point shot still wasn't there, and he had one of the worst misses I've ever seen. Like, he's 0 for 3. But, bro, best game of his young career. We talked about him with how much scouting we did, and if the Blazers didn't move up in the draft, like, he might be a Blazer for all we know. 16 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 8 for 14 from the field, 8 for 11 inside the arc, 0 for 3 from 3. Like, that's the thing with him, and that's the thing with the men. Like, they're guys that can do it all. Amen isn't getting the opportunity that Asar is right now, unfortunately, because Houston is dumb and signed Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet, and also brought in Reggie Bullock. So, that's just shame on Houston for doing that. But Asar's getting an opportunity, and he's just like every area of the game other than shooting the ball, like, he's been solid in. I don't think his efficiency inside the arc is too great either, though, but I don't expect it to remain that way, and it didn't remain that way. He was 8 for 11 today, just finishing around the rim, tip-ins, cuts, etc. So that's the thing with Asar and Amen, man. Like, if they can just ever figure out how to shoot, I expect them to continue to grow as ball handlers. Like, they're going to be impressive players in this league for a long time, in my opinion.
Absolutely, and you can see his just his activeness on both sides. rim running, either through cuts or on fast breaks, and then also just his energy on defense. Yeah, he's going to be a handful to contend with.
Yeah, and the leading scorer for the Pistons today was Cade Cunningham, but he did not end this game well. Mm-hmm. He had 30 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, but was 11 for 27, like missed a relatively easy layup for a player like him there in the fourth quarter, like had a couple of turnovers. He had 6 on the game. The Blazers really locked in on defending him in that fourth quarter. I think a big part of that was, Eric, we have a forward with length that can defend on the perimeter.
Yeah.
And that's Toumani Camara. I thought Camara had a couple of really impressive defensive possessions on Cade Cunningham. And, dude, like, there's a reason that Chauncey is playing him 26 minutes a game. At this point, Toumani Camara should be the starting small forward. He's playing more than Thibault. I did not expect that to be the case after paying Thibault $11 million a year, that Toumani Camara would be playing noticeably more minutes than him. But Toumani Camara had 20 tonight, Thibault 17. And at this point, like, Toumani is I prefer him a little bit more as a defender because Cade cooked Thibault to start this game. I saw you say a couple things on Twitter about that, so I'll kind of like let you go into the comparison here if you want, and Toumani's defense.
I did.
I saw you say something like, or maybe it wasn't you, but like
it wasn't me.
Thibault was.
I didn't tweet it all this game.
No, in the GC though. I don't know. So okay, I'll talk about it then. So Thibault to start this game, Eric, like playing too far off Cade, and Cade coming into the league wasn't really a shooter, but this year shooting 40% from 3, and he got off to a hot shooting start because Thibault was sagging off him too much. And this is what we talked about, like Thibault, one pass away. We had a breakdown on the last post-game stream where he's just playing a little too far off his guy. The one guy you don't play too far off of with this Detroit Pistons team is Cade Cunningham. Like, that's the frustrating thing. If it's, I don't know, like a Marcus Sasser or an Alec Burks if he was playing, like, I get it. Alec Burks could score the ball, but, it's not Cade Cunningham. When you're guarding Cade Cunningham, you got to guard Cade Cunningham. He's the number 1 guy on their team. He was the number 1 overall pick a couple years ago. Like, he's the guy that makes that offense run. You do not want to let him get a rhythm and get going, especially from behind the three-point line, because you're sagging off him because you're worried about, Asar Thompson or Marvin Bagley or Killian Hayes. And that was the frustrating thing with Thibault to start this game, is he wasn't paying enough attention and respect to Cade Cunningham and was playing a bit too far off him and let Cade Cunningham get a couple threes and get going to start this game. And it's part of the reason why Detroit was able to build an 18-point lead, was because Cade Cunningham found a rhythm and was going off, frankly. And then you look at the way Toumani guarded him in the fourth quarter, where Cunningham lost his rhythm. Cunningham had a couple of misses against Toumani. Toumani did a good job of paying him enough respect, not letting him get shots off from 3. Part of it is he has a much higher standing reach than Thibault, so his shot contests are better. But also, Toumani kept him in front for the most part. And that's where I love Toumani's game, man, is just he's been competitive as a rookie. He should only continue to get better, maybe get a little stronger. Defensively, I love what he's been doing, and like at this point, like I think he's better for the Blazers than Matisse Thybulle is, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, if you ignore all the stats and stuff, it's just like just seeing a guy come in, 5th game of his career, and seeing him impact a game on the defensive end. Like, do you know how like often or least often we see that?
Yeah.
It's a pretty rare situation to have a player come in, especially like a second round pick, and have an impact defensively and be not only like a neutral defender, but actually get up in some of the best players in the NBA's face and influence a game. And so it's really cool watching him come out. And I know it was against Killian Hayes, but he got beat off the dribble, and he recovered so fast and got back in position to where Killian used his off arm and pushed off, and he got the offensive foul. That was in the first half, but there's just so many good plays, like hustle plays, energy, manning up your guy, recovering, rotating. Like there's so many times in a game I see that, and it's like, oh, there's Kamara again. there's Tamani doing the right thing again. Like even if it doesn't like result in a rebound or something on the stat sheet, like he's always doing something positive out there and moving around and doing things. So man, just what a gem this guy is turning out to be. And I want him to play like so many minutes right now.
Yeah, dude, I love when he's in the game. I love watching him play. And he had a 3-possession stretch where he like kind of changed this game. There was it was the big block, it was the and one, and then he had a great box out. And that block, like that shot was probably going in. Like that was an easy little 5-foot floater. I did not expect him to be able to get to that. Like, he got up for that, dude. Like, he blocked that at the apex. That was one of the more impressive blocks I've seen this season. And maybe, like, if you got Robert Williams in there, DeAndre Ayton in there, like, oh, maybe those guys get those blocks too, it's a impressive block. Like, oh, look at those guys being rim protectors. The thing is Tamani ain't a center. He's out there playing the small forward spot, blocking shots like that. And then when you look at Sharp, if he's at the 2 and the way Sharp can block shots, like, we got rim protectors at multiple positions in a way. And that's fun. That's impressive. And if we get better at running, you can run off a lot of these blocks. So Tamani has that block. I forget who was on. Maybe it was Sasser. I don't remember. But just a phenomenal block. Saves a bucket, in my opinion. And the ball stays in bounds. The Blazers run the other way off it. Very next possession, he drives against a closeout and has a weird contorting, like, shot around the shot blocker's contest at the rim and finishes, gets the and one. Was like a super impressive finish for like a
crazy finish.
Yeah, for a guy that's kind of, you might consider a raw offensive rookie. Like, I don't think he's that raw, but he's not somebody that like is going to shoot a whole lot, not somebody that's going to make a bunch of offensive plays. He shot 3 shots in 26 minutes, right? Like, normally your defensive hustle guys aren't having drives and finishes like that, where they're able to control their body and like rearrange in the air and finish the way he did. And then he knocks down the free throw. So that block, that and one. Then very next possession down the court, he had a play where shot goes up, and he had one of the best box outs I've seen this year. Like, this team has done a pretty dang good job of boxing out, and in previous years we couldn't say that. And he had a play where he just cleared a dude off the boards and let somebody else go and grab it. And it's like, man, that's just great box outs. I know they're small things. I know they're not flashy, but you love to see a young dude doing it all. The big block, the big and one, people will notice those, but then very next position down the court has just a phenomenal box out. And 7 rebounds in this game in 26 minutes is pretty dang good from a guy that's playing the 3 and the 4.
Was that the one where he was like boxing someone out near the hoop and it came towards the camera side of the rim and just bounced, and then Brogdon went and picked it up?
Yep, that was
just bouncing for a second.
Yeah, that was the possession after his and one.
Yeah,
and 2 possessions after his block. Like, it was just 3 possessions where it's like, that's exactly why we love Tamani.
If you don't mind, do you want to load the Brant breakdown play for tonight?
Yeah, let's do it.
So this isn't going to be Kamara on ball, but this is going to show part of what you can do with a guy like Kamara and part of what his influence on a play can be. And so, there were so many plays I wanted to do from this game, but this one in particular, I think, went hugely unnoticed. And it was both an interesting design by Chauncey and also, just some things we can do when we have length and good defenders on the court. And it was interesting too with the ending lineup. We switched a lot and had length at a lot of different positions, and it really affected Detroit.
Yeah, cool. We got it loaded. Let's see it.
I will say, not having Bogdanovic and Duran in this game really made a difference for Detroit not being able to have Shooter and all that.
Has Bogdanovic played at all this year?
No, he's been out the whole time.
This team was barely not 3-1 with them. They're 2-2 going into this game, and their first loss of the season was a 1-point loss on the road at Miami. And that's Miami's only win. They're 1-4. Okay, hold up. Eric, we're better. We're better than Miami. We're better than Miami, chat. I know a lot of you hate the Heat. I don't have anything against them. Of course they won a day, but it does feel kind of nice 5 games in to be sitting here like we're better than them. So we beat the Pistons by more than them, and we were on the road. So are we better than Miami? Anyway, I'm done. Just had to rub it in a little bit.
We're better than every team in the league right now.
Yeah, in November we're the best team in the league. Although that might be the Celtics because they scored 155 points today, so maybe not. But good past couple games. Back to the breakdown. What do we got here, Eric?
All right, so this is there was about 12 or 13 seconds left in the third quarter, and Sharp's actually guarding Cade here, but we're gonna watch Tamani actually on this play. We see he's not coming to double, but he's standing there like he's going to be like shading help for Shea the whole play, and we'll see how this affects it and what this does for our defense. So if you go to the next slide, he's just going to camp right in the middle. And I think the design of this is if Cade goes to his left and gets a screen back to the middle, which they did a lot of this game, then Kamara is just going to switch and the big is going to take his spot down there. And I think that's like brilliant if you have a team that doesn't take advantage of it, because Jabari has to guard like 2 players basically. But Kamara is basically just waiting for them to run pick and roll to his side so he can switch, and he can then just guard Cade the rest of the possession. So Cade sees Tamani there, and if you keep going to the next slide, he's actually going to call for the screen on the other side going away from Tamani. And so like Tamani's already like kind of influencing things. And then if you go to the next slide, you'll see that Sharp just does an amazing job. He just gets right through the screen, great screen navigation, and stays in front of him so they don't even have to switch. And then Kamara doesn't even come into play here. But he's guarding a guy too you don't really have to worry about there. What was that guy's name? Udoma or something. You're muted, by the way, if you're talking.
Oh, I thought a Moody or
Umoda.
I thought he was like 17 though. I thought 25 is Sasser.
Oh,
so Sasser, you actually
Sasser
do have to respect a little bit,
but Cade wasn't like passing cross court that much in this game, so like you can kind of play him like this sometimes.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Sharp ends up jumping the screen, and great defense, like perfect defense by Sharp. So he stays in front of Cade. Robert Williams realizes right here, and then if you go to the next slide, Robert Williams is able to get just go with his guy because he sees Sharp making it through the screen. And so it never comes into play that Tamani was there in case Cade came to that side, and they would have just switched and had Tamani on him. Mm-hmm. But because Sharp played perfect defense and got through. But I thought that was interesting how they had Tamani shading so much towards Cade, almost like they were double teaming without double teaming him.
Yeah. Starting to see a little bit from Chauncey defensively, you know. I like the show here from Robert Williams. You know, we've been dropping the big, and in the first half it was driving me crazy. We were dropping the big on Cade, and he got a couple easy mid-ranges with no contest because of it. So this sort of creativity in terms of scheme on defense, especially given the situation that it was like 7 seconds left in the quarter, is what I'm looking for from Chauncey. I want him to be more creative with things on both sides of the court. So hopefully we're starting to see a little something from Chauncey.
That's something Spo does with Jimmy sometimes. Like he'll play him to where he just sits there in the middle of the paint like that, like Tamani's doing right there, and he'll Jimmy will just wait for the screen, knowing he's going to guard the pick and roll ball handler at some point in the possession, and then he'll just jump the screen when it happens, and then everyone else will recover, knowing that that was the design. And if they can teach Tamani to be like that on defense, that's an absolute game changer. And then if Sharp can be this good at screen navigation, that's also a game changer.
Yeah, 100%. Alrighty. So the thing is with Tamani too is he recognizes things very quickly, and so you can play him in a role like that where he's kind of a roamer is what you would call it. Basically, he can roam. He's not attached to his guy. And the thing is you have to have guys that play good team defense, because if you pass the ball to Sasser there, you have to rotate. So you have to rotate to whoever the roamer's guarding if he's not near his guy. But normally you'd put a guy that can roam a little bit on maybe a subpar offensive option. And that's the thing is Tamani on the ball, we've seen it, but also off the ball, he recognizes things very fast and moves very fast. And you can play him in a sort of role where he's supposed to shade and maybe kind of disrupt an action as a defender that the defense doesn't expect. And that's really what I've been impressed with the most, is how quickly he recognizes things. Because you look at a Draymond Green and he can quarterback a defense, A, because he's very vocal, but B, he's very smart and recognizes things very fast, and then that's why he can kind of be an anchor of a defense. Tamani, obviously he's not Draymond, but for a rookie, the recognition of things and how fast he recognizes things and some of the high IQ defensive plays he's made gives me hope. He can be one of the best defending forwards in the league someday. He's probably not going to be there yet. He still has things to learn. He still has to get a little stronger. But, bro, the on-ball ability, how fast he moves, the 8'11" standing reach, the vertical leap, and then the ability to recognize things quickly defensively, that's all the ingredients for a really, really good defensive player.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I forgot to mention during that play that I wanted to point out, the reason why Sasser and the guy in the corner don't come into play, Sharp's pressuring the ball, and he's doing it on the side to where he can't. It would have been really difficult for Cade, even as big as he is, to throw that ball over the top of Sharp with him being up in his face and pressuring. And that's the difference. You mentioned Thibault in the first half not pressuring on ball, and Cade could do whatever he wanted. He was hitting the three if he backed off too much, or making an easy pass around him because he wasn't up in his face. And you don't want to be too aggressive, because Cade's definitely crafty enough to draw a foul there, so you don't want to send him to the line. But you play up, and that's all you have to do is play up into them to where they're so focused on you being up next to them that they can't even see the other side of the court. So he had no chance of even involving those guys. Now, they could have cut or moved or done something maybe, but if they're just going to stand there on the other side of the court, you absolutely can defend them with one player if you have pressure on the ball and good help defense or show and recover. So Rob, Will, Sharp, and Tamani all did a great job there, and Walker.
Absolutely. Robert Williams had a good game today. You finally saw him just play solid defense as well as block some shots, play the defense we were expecting. I thought he kind of struggled, but then again, he didn't play in preseason. This is a brand new team for him, so definitely has a grace period there to get his legs under him. So I thought he was very impactful, and he was a plus 10. Any other Blazer you want to touch upon in this game? Grant had 24 points. I guess we should touch upon him. 7 for 16 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, 8 for 10 from the free throw line. He attacked and went downhill. How many mid-range shots did we see him shoot today?
Not a ton.
Yeah, this Jeremy was better. He was just going downhill, going at guys, not selling for mid-range shots. I felt like he, there was times where he over-dribbled maybe a little bit, but wasn't as much.
The only bad part.
Yeah, 4 turnovers is the bad part. 1 rebound and 0 assists too in 38 minutes. I mean, that part's not good either, but offensively in terms of just style of play, it was better. Nice to see him go 2 for 4 from 3 as well. So,
yeah, what'd you think of Brogdon tonight?
5 for 11, 1 for 4 from 3, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 turnovers. He passes, he sets guys up. the ball sticks to him a little too much at the same time. A lot of times I feel like he just over dribbles, and the plays where he dribbles from one side of the court to the other, then tries to drive, then backs it out and keeps dribbling. It's just like, man, just move the ball and go screen away and then cut or come back to the ball for a handoff. Like just that's kind of still a little bit too much of a problem with Brogdon and Grant, especially, is just how much they over dribble. But outside of that, I mean, offensively, he's a guy that we need to be competitive. And in 25 minutes, he was a plus 17, and 6 assists, only 2 turnovers, 14 points, 5 for 11 from the field. That's a pretty good game, and that's, he's the best player we've had off the bench in years, in my opinion. So style of play is a little frustrating, but production is there.
Yeah, I completely agree with all that. Very steady, just knows what to do out there. Just maybe looks for a shot a little too much for my liking, but sometimes you have to. Like, there was lineups where he was playing with Tamani,
exactly,
Walker, Skyler, and Rob Williams or something. Like, no, none of those guys are really creating their own shots, so you almost have to. But
we'd be 0-5 without him, because our offense desperately needs his production right now without Ant.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the Blazers' record overall will be good enough, but he could definitely win the Sixth Man of the Year again the way he's playing.
Yeah, if he averages 18 points per game, I think that's what his average is at right now, 18, 19 points per game, and does it efficiently. I don't know how he doesn't win it, because that statistically is just more impressive than most guys. I mean, Mathurin maybe could win it. No, he's starting. Mathurin's starting. Never mind. Starting. Hero's starting now. So, yeah, I mean, I think Brogdon is definitely one of the front runners right now for Sixth Man of the Year. I 100% believe that. And then we talked about Ayton, talked a little bit about Thibault, Sharp, Scoot, Tomani, Rob Will, Brogdon. Jabari Walker played 10 minutes today, had 2 rebounds, didn't really do anything else. But what'd you say?
Yeah, I didn't really do much.
Yeah, but the thing is with him is a lot of games where he doesn't really do much, he doesn't really hurt you either.
Yeah.
He's not somebody that's going to try and do too much, and he's just going to hustle and try and play the right way. So it's not something where it's a problem for a guy you took with the second to last pick in the draft and is a fringe rotation player right now.
He did his Jeremy Grant impression on one play. It was a really bad shot, but
the layup.
He drove. I forgot who he drove in on, but he drove in and threw up some really bad running hook shot layup thing.
Yeah, I mean,
but that was in that lineup too that didn't really have any creators. So
yeah, I don't know where the shot clock was on that play either, so maybe I don't remember, but yeah, one of those shots a game is, I understand it with that lineup, and especially if it's a low shot clock situation. And I just think in that situation he needs to try and get his momentum going towards the rim and try and draw a foul or finish strong. The problem is he's not the most athletic player. That's the one thing. That in the 3-point shooting. If he was athletic and could shoot threes, he could be a really good role player on a contending team, That's kind of just the two things that kind of limit him right now, which unfortunately we thought he was going to be a really good 3-point shooter, and that shot's just kind of non-existent.
I mean, it's not like he's had a huge sample size to.
But that's the problem, is he doesn't really shoot them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he crashes the board. He's more in the. He's more like a bait. He plays more like a bait in the paint. So. He's not really just standing around the 3-point line, shooting threes though. Yeah. Still,
you expected him to be a good NBA 3-point shooter, right? We just haven't really seen it for whatever reason. It's. Let's see, how many minutes did he play? 72 minutes so far this season. Going into today, he had taken 5 threes. So now it's in 82 minutes he's taken 5 threes.
Yeah,
that's a really low rate of shooting threes. He just doesn't really shoot them, and he's 2 for 5. I want to see him spot up and shoot more threes, especially on a team that needs 3-point shooting, because in college he was a good 3-point shooter. Last year he was 16 for 56, 29%. I thought it was a small sample, though. It's not like he doesn't have touch. He's 9 for 10 from the free throw line this year. So with him, I want to see him, if he's open on the 3-point line, let it fly. Shoot that shot.
Yeah. The only really thing I want to talk about from this game is halftime, 10 turnovers, only 8 assists. That's really bad. I felt like they stopped running a little bit,
Yeah.
and that really hurt their half court offense. The half court offense was better in the second half, mostly because they ran through Sharp, but the half court offense was just dreadful in the first half. They have to find a way to get up and get the ball flowing a little faster up the court. As you mentioned, only 3 fast break points, so that's definitely something that needs to be way up there and at least into the teens every game. But in the second half, only 7 turnovers and 15 assists, so much better job in both moving the ball and not turning the ball over in the second half.
Yeah. I tweeted out a tweet like the good and the bad statistically from the first half. I tweeted out at halftime. I said the good, the Blazers held Detroit to 2 offensive rebounds. They were the second best offensive rebounding team, and then they only got 4 in the second half. Holding them to 6 offensive rebounds, I think, was maybe the most impressive team thing this entire game. Like, they really crashed the boards, and I know they don't have Duran, but they still have size. They still have guys that can rebound. So rebounding we thought was going to be an issue. It hasn't been. Ayton has been better than we expected. Sharp has been solid on the boards. Tamani has an impact rebounding. So does Jabari. Like, collectively, this team just does a good job of rebounding. So held that in check. The other thing was shot 14 free throws to Detroit's 5. We haven't really talked about that. We shoot 33 free throws and they shoot 11. I understand why Pistons fans are complaining about the refs, but also, like, you got to go at guys. We only shot 23s on 81 shot attempts. Like, we are obviously just trying to go at guys. So we're going to get to the free throw line more because of that. That's why you just got to not look at free throw attempts necessarily and just look at, like, things on a play-by-play basis. Was it a good or bad call? I think a lot of times that we got sent to the line, it was a good call. It was Portland getting fouled. Sharp, Grant, like, those guys were just going at dudes and forcing them to foul for the most part. So, but free throw battle, Eric, we had been fouling a ton going into this game. We only had 5 fouls at halftime. So the fouling wasn't anywhere near as much of a problem. And actually, Detroit, 31 fouls for them, 15 for Portland, 15 fouls. So really good job not fouling.
Fouls have been a huge issue, so great job making that adjustment this game.
Yeah, and I do think there was a couple plays where we made a defensive play, but like in previous games, we're called for a foul. But I mean, it's refereeing. It's humans refereeing a game. Like, you're gonna get breaks, you're gonna get screwed. Like, it happens. So I do like that they were able to play physically. I do think they did a better job of not fouling, especially like silly fouls. So I do think Portland deserves some credit for that. And then also I tweeted out the bad, like 10 turnovers, like you said, so we improved from that. Detroit started this game 9 for 14 from 3.
Yeah. Well,
which was a stark contrast to Toronto being 4 for 29 from 3 last game. But then they finished 2 for 15 from 3.
Nice. Yeah, well, you can't affect how other team shoots threes, so that was just all luck based.
I hate that argument.
Yeah.
God, Tom, come on, Tom.
Oh, speaking of that, what's the point of Stump's throw if he gets to look up the answers on the internet?
Yeah, I don't know. Comedy purposes.
It's so dumb. They waste like 30 seconds of him just sitting there like typing on his computer and stuff. Like,
yeah,
that's so cringe, man.
Yeah. Can come up with better stuff than that, I think. But, yeah, I don't get it either. I think it's more so just a comedic bit. That's why they got rid of Corey Jez, though, so they could stump Stroh, I guess.
They said no Google, but he's obviously like looking on his computer. Like, you can watch him looking and typing on his computer the whole time. It's not like if you ask me a trivia question, don't look. I'm gonna like hold my hands like this and show you that I'm not looking.
Yeah.
And he's like, And they're trying to ask him questions that you can't like easily find. Like the one tonight was, how did Billups get his Mr. Big Shot nickname? And so like that, I guess he just couldn't find that answer in 30 seconds or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Very weird segment. Some of the broadcast graphics, like the scoring plays by Detroit over the last few possessions, was actually insightful and good to see. I wish some of these graphics that display information, I wish they would use more of. Actually, I think the in-out substitution graphics are clean. I like being able to see who subbed in for who. It's kind of soccer style in a way, but I like those. There's good things that they're doing with the broadcast. Some of it maybe need to do a little bit more of, especially with just kind of recent defensive possessions, recent offensive possessions, etc. But yeah. And then let's go around the NBA if you want to, if we're kind of...
One last thing about this game, my last note. Did you see when Chauncey chewed out Scoot for not getting back on defense?
Yeah. And then Scoot kind of just walked away from him.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. I don't think it was a problem or anything, but Chauncey was definitely mad because they had just gotten several times where they got down the court faster than us, and we've had that problem a lot this year already. But
what's up, Dro? What's up, chat? Yeah, we're gonna go around the NBA and talk about a bunch of actions. There was 13 games today, so looking forward to doing that. And then we can answer some of your questions. Jimmy, I see you have a question. We're going to answer questions at the end of this and talk with chat. But I do want to go around the NBA right now. There's 3 games going on. You got the Jazz beating the Grizzlies 105-81. The Grizzlies are the Blazers' next 2 opponents, so they got a chance to either the Grizzlies are going to lose this game. They're going to be 0-5. So either the Grizzlies are going to get their first win of the season on the road in Portland, or Portland's going to end up above 500. That's their opponent the next 2 games. The next game is the first in-season tournament game, and people were saying Portland had a bad draw because the teams... Memphis was supposed to be a tough team in the pool, and I mean they're just not good right now. So Portland actually with LA, if this team plays a good game, I could see them beating LA, I could see them beating Utah, I could see them beating Memphis. It just comes down to Phoenix. Can they beat Phoenix? Maybe I'm a little too optimistic considering where I was 2 games ago, but if this team can play like they've played the last 2 games, I think they'll be competitive in at least 3 of the in-season tournament games. And Phoenix last night lost at home to San Antonio and blew a 20-point lead, so they've had health issues. This is an in-season tournament. I'm looking forward to it, man. That's the next game. But yeah, for Utah, 20 points from Jordan Clarkson, 17 from Laurie, 16 John Collins. For the Grizzlies, they have 21 from Bane, 19 from Jaren Jackson Jr., but only 5 for 17 shooting, and their bench is doing a little better than last game, but the bench is not impressive for Memphis right now given all their injuries, so the Blazers should have a real matchup advantage there. I'll drop a pregame video for that. The Warriors are beating the Kings 56-54, 1 minute left until halftime there. Klay Thompson is playing in this game. He was out the previous game. Steph Curry, 8 points. Andrew Wiggins, 12 for the Warriors. And for the Kings, they got 10 from Domantas Sabonis. They are without De'Aaron Fox for a period of time. Don't know how long that's going to be, but he sprained his ankle. Malik Monk, 9 off the bench. Sasha Vezenkov is playing for them as well. He's played 9 minutes. The European rookie, he's 29. And the Kings said, we're not going to give him rookie duties because he's 29 and has played a lot of professional basketball, which makes sense to me. The Clippers are beating the Lakers in the Battle of LA 48-39. 18 points for Kawhi Leonard. Paul George hasn't really done much, but hasn't really needed to as the Clippers are playing a solid defensive game. Of course, they just traded for James Harden. Eric, you and Hoops Crush, you and Crushables had your live reaction to the trade because you were recording when that trade went down. So that dropped earlier this morning. So that's a good watch.
That was crazy. Yeah, Brady was like, I have breaking news. I'm like, what?
Look at Brady, the newsbreaker.
I didn't know if it was going to be Blazer related or what, but yeah, it was funny. I was so glad we recorded the night before Halloween instead of on Halloween because that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the trade?
I mean, I think it's solid for Philadelphia, and I like that Philadelphia got off PJ Tucker too. I think they're the reason they didn't sign Tyrese Maxey to an extension is they only want his cap hold on the books in free agency next offseason because they want as much cap space as possible because they're going to have max cap space, and now they have more trade assets to go in and trade for a guy, and they clear way for Tyrese Maxey to be the lead guard, and I think there's a good chance that he's an all-star this year. I thought that it made sense to move off Harden and make Tyrese Maxey the lead guard, and he's been a star. Player of the week, looked great against the Blazers. He's ready to go, and he could be a guest on the Out the Mud podcast coming up.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, we'll see. That would be a fun one. So, yeah, I like it. For the Clippers, I have no idea what to think about it. I mean, they only give up one pick that they currently had, and then they give up a swap. Like, it does make some sense to get that scoring guard that I guess they thought they needed, but I think time will tell. Like, I don't think it's something that I can really analyze on their end. Like, They have a lot of depth, so I don't really mind the pieces that they traded. Kobe Brown's played 6 minutes in this game. I actually like him as a guy that can maybe contribute a little bit, so they have some depth. So it did make some sense.
Yeah, not having to give up man. I think that was key for them. But I really think this is Philly's setting themselves up to go after another star. They didn't have many picks. Now they have three firsts they could trade, and now they have to wait till January 1st. But they have a bunch of expiring contracts as well, including a big one that they already had on their team in Tobias. So yeah, they have the pieces now, both salary filler and pick wise, to put together a much better package that they can to get a big time player to pair with Maxey and Embiid. So it'll be interesting to see how they shape out their roster either for the playoffs this year or the following summer, like you said, if they want to maximize cap space.
Yeah, 100%. As far as games that went final, Eric, the Milwaukee Bucks have had a couple bad losses already this season. They got blown out by the Hawks, and they get blown out by the Raptors, who the Blazers just beat. They lose 130-111. A big reason why the Raptors, after going 4 for 29 from 3, go 15 for 38 from 3, 39.5%. Pascal Siakam, 5 for 8 from 3, so he was much better.
You can't defend that.
Yeah,
just make them or not.
Yeah, I can't defend it, I guess. God, I hate this stuff. I hate that. Yeah, contesting threes doesn't matter at all, and Anyway, I'm not going to rant about that right now. As far as the Bucks go, 2 for 2 on the season. Giannis, 5 for 11, 16 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Didn't really do much, but that's a big team going that he's going against in Toronto. Like, that's a team that's equipped to actually throw some bodies at him. Dame, 15 points, 6 assists, 4 for 9 shooting, 1 for 4 from 3 in 31 minutes. Like, he didn't really have much of an impact. That is definitely a quiet Damian Lillard game.
They got to get Giannis and Dame more shots. I don't know.
Yeah, how do they only shoot 20 shots in this game?
They should each be shooting 20 shots, not combined.
Yeah. Chris Middleton and Malik Beasley shot 20 shots combined.
Out, but...
Yeah. Beasley, 7 for 10, 20 points. Got to find a way to make use of Dame and Giannis. You got 2 top 10 players in the league. So,
yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of sinking in like, yeah, Dame's not on our team. Like, he's somebody else's guy, It's just, it's still weird, but we play the Bucks coming up this month too, so that'll be the first game. That's like a Sunday 12 p.m. tip-off game, so definitely got to do a watch party for that, for it being against Dame. Hawks beat the Wizards, so the Hawks are 3-2 on the season. Wizards fall to 1-3 for the Hawks. 24 from DeJounte Murray, 23 from Trae Young, and 23 from DeAndre Hunter. 16 from Okonkwo. They had 7 players in double figures. Jalen Johnson off the bench, 8 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists. He's a guy that I like to take a step this year and has looked good early on in the season for Atlanta. For the Wizards, 25 from Kuzma, 22 from Avdija. Jordan Poole, 5 for 13, only 13 points, 1 assist, no rebounds for Poole. What'd you think of the shot he had that was blocked by Porzingis?
I didn't see it.
The one where he was on the fast break, it got shut off, so he turned around and did a weird little skip behind the back dribble, walking out to the 3-point line, and then turned around out of nowhere and just chucked a three and it got blocked.
I didn't see it. Yeah.
You should watch it. It's a funny play. It's a funny play. Very Jordan Poole-esque, man. Like, he's fun to watch because you don't know what he's going to do, good or bad. Like, he's going to provide some comedy a lot of times, and he's going to provide a wow bucket every now and then. So he's entertainment, that's for sure. And the Wizards need entertainment because they suck. Next game we had was Pacers-Celtics, 155-104 win for the Celtics, whose worst scoring quarter was 31 in the second, as they had 44 in the first and 46 in the fourth. So in garbage time, they just still continued to absolutely slaughter the Pacers. They had 8 players in double figures, 30 from Tatum. Peyton Pritchard, Blazers Uprise legend, 15 points off the bench, 9 assists, 6 for 10 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3. Sam Hauser had 17. So the Celtics bench, there was a stat going into this game where like Brogdon had scored noticeably more points than the entire Celtics bench and did it much more efficiently. So, of course, they don't have Rob Will anymore. They don't have Malcolm Brogdon anymore, but good performance from their bench today. They were also... Jaylen Brown played in this game, 16 points for him. For the Pacers, they're not playing Jarris Walker. He actually got to play in this game, though, Eric, in 12 minutes. The rookie had... Yeah, because of the blowout. He had 8 points, 3 assists, and 2 rebounds, and was 4 for 6. And also had a block. They should be playing him more. I don't really understand it, but I think he could help them. So Pacers fall to 2-2. Let me go back to ESPN here. We got the Heat losing to the Nets at home, 109-105. Mikal Bridges, 21.7 boards. 17 from Lonnie Walker off the bench, and Armani Brooks had 17 off the bench. I didn't realize he was back in the league, and 6 for 7, 5 for 6 from 3 today. He could always shoot the ball. Former Rocket legend. And Day'Ron Sharp, the center version of Shaedon Sharp, not at all because he's not the athlete. I don't know where I'm going with that, but he played a little bit. Trent Watford played, Eric.
Yeah, wasn't he playing well?
11 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 for 6 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3 in 14 minutes. He was a plus 19.
Nice.
So good for him.
And the Nets just signed Keon Johnson to a 2-way.
Yeah, they also got Harry Giles III, so they just want they're like the Suns. They got the Suns players, and they were like, we want to be more like the Suns, so we're going to pick up a bunch of former Blazers. So, that's kind of funny. Heat 1-4, as I said earlier. Cavs beat the Knicks 95-89. Both those teams now 2-3 on the season. Donovan Mitchell 30.6 rebounds. Jalen Brunson 24. The Pelicans were getting blown out by the Thunder. They were down as much as 22 points in this game. So the Blazers didn't have the biggest comeback today. The Pelicans did because they came back from that 22-point deficit and beat the Thunder 110-106. Pelicans now 3-1. Zion 20 points. CJ McCollum, speaking of former Blazers, 29 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 10 for 17 shooting, 5 for 8 from 3.
How did the Slob Wizard do?
What? What, the Slob Wizard? Who is the Slob Wizard?
It's Josh Giddey.
Is that his nickname now?
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
It's official Basketball Reference put it on.
Oh my God. I love it. 15 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists for the Slob Wizard.
All right.
So,
I forgot who it was. Someone tweeted that he was a Slob Wizard. That's Slob is sidelines and out of bounds play. Mm-hmm. And he actually responded to the tweet, said something funny. I'm what now or something like. Hilarious.
Oh man.
It's a Basketball Reference quickly updated his page to...
Yeah, that's funny. That's hilarious. It's always funny to go on Basketball Reference and see all the random nicknames you've never heard of for all these players. Mm-hmm. Like, where did they find some of these? Shout out Caleb Pendergraph, member for 24 months. That's a 2-year membership. He has the 2-year badge. So shout out Caleb. Good to see you, Caleb. Appreciate you, bro. His member message says, looking forward to the Grizzlies soon being 0-7. Yeah, 0-7. Fingers crossed. Thank you, Caleb, for being a channel member. John Hollinger, apparently.
On Hollinger's thing.
Hollinger, or however you say his name. He was the one who came up with it for Josh Giddey. So shout out to him for coming up with the greatest nickname of the year, Slob Wizard. I had no idea where that was going. I had no idea who that was going to be.
And then he was at a press conference and he said, "Now let's not make that stick. That's been sticking too long already." The nickname. He doesn't think it.
It's gonna stick, bro. Twitter is gonna make sure it sticks. Like,
That's
he just
his
needs
name
to
from
accept
now on.
it.
It's not even Josh Giddey anymore.
Oh man, we need to see beef stew against the Slob Wizard, man. Like, Shaq would be proud of these nicknames. Speaking of Shaq, he said we've already seen Victor Wembanyama because we've seen Bol, which is just one of the worst takes I've ever heard. So not to bring up Shaq right now, but my goodness, that's one of the most casual takes I've ever heard.
I popped on YouTube and a recommended video was like, "What can Wemby do that Bol can't?" or something. I was like, oh my god, people.
That's like the Eubanks versus Nurkic IQ test, but even like dumber because come on now. There's a reason Bol can't play a second against Victor Wembanyama last night. He didn't play. He's a non-factor. Chet, 19 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists for the rookie. Good performance, 8 for 14 shooting.
Did you see him? Oh yeah, you saw. Were you on Gabe's show when it happened last night?
Yeah, that was hilarious, bro. I saw it in
I heard
the game.
some Suns fan like blaming you for it or something.
Oh, yeah, because I got on the stream. They were up like 17, and then they decided to stop guarding the three-point line, and San Antonio hit a bunch of threes on them, and then they decided to choke in the final seconds. Like, that ain't my fault, man, but sure, I jinxed them, I guess. So, next game when I show up, they got to win, I guess, because I guess I was bad luck. Rockets get their first win in the season, Eric. They beat the Hornets 128-119. They outscored the Hornets 42-41 in the fourth quarter. There was no defense being played. Van Vliet, 22 points, 11 assists for the Rockets, who continue to barely play. Amen Thompson, he played 13 minutes, 4 points, 1 for 3 shooting for him. I just hate what they're doing.
Yeah.
Dude, they're playing Aaron Holiday equal minutes at a guard spot. Like, what are we doing here? I don't get it. Cam Whitmore's not playing. Just doesn't make sense. Jalen Green 23, Dylan Brooks 20 on 7 for 9 shooting, 3 for 3 from 3. Hey, look at that efficiency, Eric. He just needed more shots to be more efficient, like you said, even though he only shot 9 shots in 38 minutes, but 7 for 9. Good for him. PJ Washington 23 points, Terry Rozier 21, LaMelo Ball 19 for the Hornets. Brandon Miller, the rookie, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 4 for 9 shooting, 1 for 3 from 3. 2 other games. Nuggets lose their first game of the season against the Minnesota Timberwolves, who blow them out 110-89. Timberwolves moved to 2-2 on the season. 24 from Anthony Edwards, 21 from Cat, and 16 off the bench in 19 minutes from my guy Naz Reid, 6 for 9 from the field. Nuggets just couldn't score. They were 6 for 33 from 3. They just couldn't hit threes. It was just one of those games. 1 for 6 from 3 for Jokic. He had 25 and 10 though. 2 for 11 from Michael Porter Trashcan, 0 for 5 from 3. And Jamal Murray, 5 for 16, 1 for 4 from 3. So those guys didn't show up.
Yep.
And we have, I think, one undefeated team left on the season, and it's the Dallas Mavericks who beat the Bulls 114-105. They were led by Grant Williams, who had 25 points on 7 for 9 shooting from 3.
Nice.
Derrick Jones Jr. had 17, 3 for 9 shooting from 3, 7 for 13 from the field. When you can get Grant Williams and Derrick Jones to combine for 14 from 23 from the field and 10 for 18 from 3 and give you a combined 42 points, like, you're in business.
By the way, the Celtics, I think, are undefeated as well.
Oh, Celtics undefeated too. The only undefeated Western Conference team, I think, is Dallas. That's why I said I think. I'm not sure. Derek Lively played 33 minutes. Eric, did you see his stat line? 7 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 turnover.
Nice.
Look at him. 6 assists, man. Love to see it. He's going to be really, really good. We're going to regret not finding a way to, like, wiggle our way into getting him. I think he'll be all-star caliber center someday, like in the mold of a Jared Allen, maybe a little bit better because I think he can pass and has a little bit more shooting potential. So Hardaway Jr. off the bench, 24 points. For the Bulls, they got 22 from Zach LaVine, 21 from Vucevic. Bulls just continue to be directionless. Patrick Williams, 0 points in 25 minutes, 0 for 6 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3. Are we ready to, say that Patrick Williams is a bust? Are we ready to just say, it's not going to happen with him? He was okay last year, 10 points, 41% from 3, but this year just been awful and didn't get a contract extension either.
Yeah, 5 games. Oh, he wanted 120 million, 4 years, 120 million or something.
Yeah, I don't blame the Bulls not giving him that. Yeah. They needed him to pan out.
I mean,
he just hasn't really become what they thought he would, I guess, when they drafted him at 4, which was too high.
Yeah, but they're also a disaster of a franchise. So
yeah, they are up. They okay. You can make the case that Chicago is the worst ranked franchise in the league right now. Them or Washington, but Washington just picked a rebuilding direction. I think that was the right move, actually. Chicago, it's what the hell are they doing? Standings wise, yeah, 2 4-0 teams, Boston and Dallas. One team that hasn't gotten a win yet is Memphis, so that's our next opponent the next 2 games. Hopefully we don't give them their first win. The Blazers are in 12th in the Western Conference, but they are 2.5 games out of first, Eric. We are only 1 spot out of the 6th seed. Are you ready for this year?
Oh yeah.
We'll see how long it lasts. We are 1 game out of the 6th seed.
Told you it would be a playoff team.
You predicted them 11th. I won't let you get away with that. But Gray was already saying that I'm gonna have to pay him $50 at the start of the stream. I saw that. I don't know where he went. I don't know where he was when we were losing either. But he's here when we win. I get it. We'll see. We will see. But Blazers got a couple winnable games. We were looking at when are they going to get their first win because they just looked so bad the first 3 games and have definitely looked better the last couple. So still figuring out what this team truly is.
It's nice to catch Memphis when they're struggling and having all these injuries and stuff, though, and Jaw's still out. Yeah.
And then so we play them the 3rd and 5th, and then we have 2 days off. Then we play the Kings, who we'll see if they're still without De'Aaron Fox. And then we have Thursday, Friday, Saturday off, and then we play at Los Angeles. So I assume we'll just fly back home and then go back out on a road trip. It's a 3-game road trip, but we're probably not going to be on the road for 3 games.
Yeah.
So especially with both those teams being in California. But yeah, so a couple of games against the Grizzlies and then only 1 game in 6 days. I'm kind of looking forward to that, given how busy I've been. And that's the time when I'm going to build out the rest of the stuff I need to build out for post-game shows and so forth. So finally, yeah. I know. I've been working harder than ever on stuff, just have more to do. Looking forward to seeing if this team can get above 500. That would be cool. That'd be cool, especially without Ant, man, because this team kind of could use Ant right now, given their shooting woes. But 3 out of the 5 games, they've held a team to 102 or less. So the defense is starting to show up, and you can say, oh, well, they just missed shots, and that's luck. But at some point, you defend the 3-point line better. I do think we're getting out on 3-point shooters. We're contesting shots. We're remaining competitive in plays. Team defense does look more solid. I think this team is showing signs of being able to be a decent defensive team. It helps having Ayton, who I think has played pretty good defense this year, and Robert Williams rounding into form. So offensively is maybe more the question mark right now. But when you got a guy dominating like Shaden did today in the second half, like Malcolm Brogdon off the bench, you do have some pieces. So it's going to be interesting just to see how good this team ends up being. If Scoot could just take a step at some point this season and become the prospect that we were expecting to see his rookie season, then yeah, this team might be pretty decent. It might be pretty decent.
I'm just happy the second half of this game in particular was fun to watch. The beginning of the game was fun too, the first 5 minutes or so. But it was just it was fun. It was exciting, and that's what I want. I want to have games where I'm not like bored out of my mind because they're losing by 20 and 30.
Yeah.
And it felt like that game was headed towards that way
Mm-hmm.
In the second quarter, but thankfully they got it together.
I was like, oh no, here we go. And I really wanted to win this game because I want Moda Center to be hyped for the first in-season tournament game. I want this fan base to be excited for the first in-season tournament game. And coming off back-to-back wins where you got a chance to go to 500 against the team that I guess the Blazers should beat at home, which is weird to say. Like, I think there's excitement going into that game. Like, I'm excited for that game. And hopefully a lot of Blazer fans are as well. Yeah, looking forward to Friday. And we'll do a watch party for that as well. Maybe it won't be you, Eric. You know, like you're free to join. Maybe I'll go find Stephen Vaughn. I don't know. But looking forward to Friday and hopefully a raucous Moda Center crowd and Blazer fans having things to look forward to and things to be excited about. I said on my pregame video, like, I just want good vibes, man. If you watch that video, like, I don't script really anything, so that's just kind of off the cuff and just what was on my mind. Like, I just want to have fun with this team. I want to have fun with streams. I want people to be excited. There's a few regulars I got to see tonight in chat that I haven't seen in a while, and it's always cool to be able to see people that have tuned in for a while and I recognize your name. I've gotten to know a lot of people in chat, so it's always cool to see some people come around, because I recognize most of the people in here, man. Like, I try and get to know chat in a way because it's a community, you know? I'm not just a YouTuber. I'm making content, and I don't care about chat. I don't care about comments. Like, I do truly try to build that sense of community. It's a lot easier when this team is good, though. It's a lot easier when this team gives people something to watch than, it isn't a team that people don't want to watch. So I love that they've kind of pulled things together here in 1-2 games in a row. And I'm looking forward to hopefully it being 3, maybe 4 and getting above 500. And then, we could just go into November like things are actually pretty decent considering.
Yeah, for the record, Fridays are a little bit easier for me to do watch parties. So I might be able to do that one. Yeah,
we'll keep you guys posted. But, I finally have a, break in my schedule where I don't have to work constantly. I've been working just nonstop for days, basically. And shout out to Wardy NYM, $5 donation. Says, parlayed your Blazers with my Knicks, with a heartbroken emoji. Says, answer my text, please. So, yeah, Wardy, I saw your text. I did not have time to respond to it. We can talk about it, bro. Shout out to Wardy, though. Covers the Mets, big-time YouTuber. See, I told you guys I was helping some big-time YouTubers. Wardy's one of them. So, thank you for the donation, Wardy. Appreciate you, bro. I'll hit you up after this. And if you guys want to check out my latest work, just produced and dropped a podcast with Paul Reed and Philly Take with RB, who's a big-time Sixers YouTuber, over 30K subs, does really good work. I'm working with Hog Media, which you see in the bottom corner, producing coded graphics like the bottom ticker, and also producing athlete and creator shows. We just dropped our first one. It's on that channel. I'll post the link in chat. Go watch it after the stream if you want to. I think it's pretty entertaining. Paul Reed's a funny dude. So, it was a lot of work to edit that, put that together, fix some of the footage and audio and so forth. So, looking forward to that. Wardy's a part of Hog Media. Gabe and Suns Valley Podcast is a part of Hog Media. So is Knicks Fan TV is one of our bigger clients. So, we got a solid collection of creators here, which is pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. We'll take questions from chat for the last 10 minutes of this, and then we will sign off. We'll be live again tomorrow on our second channel, Blazers Uprise Podcast. We'll have a Picks Against the Spread stream, and we can preview the first in-season tournament game a little bit, talk a little bit about Blazers versus Grizzlies. We'll go live about 3:30 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow on that second channel, Blazers Uprise Podcast. Link in the description. Check out the description for everything. I always say, this is in the description, that's in the description. Hopefully you guys check it out because I would love to join you guys on stream tomorrow to talk about this team that is all of a sudden fun to talk about. Also, as you guys get your questions in, once again, thank you to BetUS. Use that link for a 125% bonus. $100 deposit gets you $125 extra of money to play around with at BetUS. So use that link, have some fun. In-season tournament bets, this is the perfect time to get in on them and make that in-season tournament a little bit more captivating, a little bit more fun. So shout out to them. They got great customer service, very reliable sports book, and have all sorts of options for however you want to play around with that bonus money. So use that link. It's in the pinned comment, also in the description. Eric, first question you want to answer. We got a couple of them.
Yeah, hey, Tori and Eric, if Sharp keeps playing like this is from Joey. In your opinion, when Ant comes back, would you start Sharp and have Scoot off the bench?
What would you do, Eric?
I would do what we have been talking about all offseason and just start all three of them.
Yep.
There's no
Bench
point.
Bible. We're already only playing him like 17 minutes. We should have never matched his freaking contract.
Learn those three. See if you can, like the rest of the season, just see if there is any chance those three can play together. And they don't even have to play together a ton outside of the beginning of each half and then a little tiny bit in the fourth quarter in crunch time if we need offense or whatever. But I think I would just start all three of them and let them figure it out on the court.
Yeah, and run a 3-guard lineup with Scoot, Simons, Brogdon. Keep 2 of those 3 on the court at all times, basically, and then have Sharp out there for the most part. Like, that gives you a couple lethal scorers on the court, and hopefully Scoot can get better and, like, kind of add his name to that mix a little bit as somebody that can run an offense, and all of a sudden our offensive woes might not be so bad, especially if Tamani continues to develop. That's what I want to see, and I just want to see how Sharp hangs at small forward next to those guys. The thing is, I want Sharp to be running off curls like he was tonight and like a heavy part of the offense, even with those 2 guys in. I want to see how they can feed off each other. And, Scoot, I think his role this year is going to be to distribute to those guys. So I don't think it's something where it's like, oh, you have not enough shots to go around. I want to see this team run a little bit more, and I think Scoot's a big part of that, and I think Sharp in transition is a very lethal player. So I would love to see us run the break more. Like today, we had 3 fast break points. We barely ran it all. We had 1 at halftime. So I think playing those 3 guys, I don't think is detrimental to any one of them, and I want to see what it looks like. So that's what I would roll with.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, Scoot doesn't have to score that much. Like if we're worried about shots, like he could be the facilitator out of those 3. He doesn't have to be like, oh, who's gonna take the most shots? Like, I don't think Scoot needs to shoot that much right now.
Yeah, absolutely. When we getting a dedicated Aminu and Elijah Hughes stream? Shout out to Javon for being a new channel member, by the way. But even though you're a channel member, we're not gonna give you a dedicated. What a combination, Aminu and Elijah Hughes. Where is the correlation between those 2? That's funny. Elijah Hughes, yeah, I thought he could be something in the NBA, and he just absolutely is not, man. Former Blazer legend, though.
Yeah. Andrew Baum asked, do you think Dallas would be willing to deal anyone a value for Thibault similar to Allen Crabbe to the Nets deal? Well, that can't even happen until the middle of July, so even if they would, they can't trade. Dallas cannot trade for Thibault this season.
Yep. Echo says, just got back from my game. How's the Blazers game overall? They were down 18, struggled to end the first half, and then had an amazing comeback behind Sharp playing like perfect basketball almost on both sides of the court, passing the ball. Like, Sharp was amazing today, and they like played freaking hard too in the second half. Like, I was pretty proud with the effort level and how hard they played. Haven't really had to question that as much. There's times where it's iffy, but that's the thing with this year is like if we got dudes that'll play hard, like it makes it easier to handle losses. But they definitely looked better and have improved a bit offensively in terms of some of the things they're running. Sharp just ate off curls. That's kind of my summary of this game. Ayton played good as well. Knocked down some shots.
Yeah, Andrew, that's exactly why. Kevin H. asked, do you like these back-to-back playing the same team? I will answer for Tori. Tori hates them.
Yeah, I hate them.
I understand them, but I'm not a big fan either. But I understand why they're doing it.
Yeah.
Trying to cut down on travel and stuff, but...
Mute That Bozo says, favorite episode of Gilligan's Island. I've never seen Gilligan's Island, and that shouldn't surprise anyone that knows that I do not watch TV shows or movies. I do need to catch up on Amazing Race, though. That's like the one TV show I watch. Shout out to anyone out there who watches Amazing Race. How do you think the team will perform without Scoot if he's out for a period of time? Asked Smog. Yeah, interested to see what the update is. We'll probably have one tomorrow, and we'll talk about it on Blazers Uprise Live on our second channel. Just more of a reason for you to go subscribe so you don't miss that. I mean, I don't think it'll hurt them that much because Scoot wasn't, like, off to a great start at all. The thing is like, if he misses time, if he stayed healthy, was he going to get much better? Because he obviously improved the past couple of games. I don't know. So maybe it hurts us in that regard. But given how much he struggled, like, especially in our 3 losses, like, I'm not sure it's going to hurt them too much.
The only reason it hurts, I think, is with Simons out, you don't have a ton of guard depth right now. I know Sharp can handle the ball. Brogdon can handle the ball. Skylar can handle the ball. But they're not really... I don't know. If Scoot's not there, you don't have like a true point guard out of those 3. So might be a little bit of a struggle to set up the offense unless they're doing some creative stuff like they did in the second half.
Yep. What are your genuine Blazer hope levels now? Asks David Lester. I mean, I just hope they continue to get better and the young guys continue to show out. That's what I'm hoping for. You know, so like this game, we got that with Tamani.
Be competitive.
I thought being good. Yeah, and this team played hard, competitive. You know, I'm hoping for success, basically, whatever that means. DREC21 says, how many minutes should Tamani average going forward? About what he's playing right now, I think. I think you could make the case for him playing even more and cutting into Thybulle's minutes even more, but I think this is a good minute amount for him, like 25 a game.
Yeah, I think that's good too.
Let's see here. Jimmy Gillespie says, are you guys set on trading all vets at the deadline that can bring back high picks in the future? I'm pretty set on trading Brogdon, given the fact that we have Scoot, Ant, and Sharp. And isn't Brogdon a free agent this offseason?
I believe he has one more year. I'll look it up.
Yeah. I'm pretty set on trading Brogdon, but Grant, I don't like his contract, and honestly, it just feels like he's not really helping the team much. So, like, if this team is above 500 and, like, a playoff team, then no.
Yeah, he's got one more year.
Okay, so the 2 years left right now, basically, this year and next year? Okay.
Yeah.
So a little less of a need to trade Brogdon if he was going to be a free agent. I would say, like, probably just need to trade him. But, you know, it depends on where this team is around the deadline. So it's kind of hard to answer that question. Like, we're in wait-and-see mode. Like, we got a lot of time to figure out what this team is. I need Kevin Knox back on this team to help the offense. Kevin Knox is playing for the remix, it sounds like. So,
not sounds like he is.
Yeah, it looks like. I just saw the clip of him, like, in a remix shirt at the training facility. So,
no.
Then again, like, he gets signed.
He had an interview.
Yeah,
as like the main guy of the remix. Yeah,
but like he could always get signed by an NBA team out of the blue, you know. So,
yeah.
You never know, but yeah, that'll be cool. He'll put up a ton of points for them. Let's see. Favorite episode of Breaking Bad? Why the TV show questions? I don't watch TV shows. Do you guys believe in Chris Murray? He's behind Tamani and Jabari. Does he only get minutes if we move Jeremy? Even if we move Jeremy, I don't think he'd get minutes necessarily. Like, it seems very clear that he is behind both those guys, and both those guys will get the bulk of minutes before him.
Yeah. It's not that I don't believe in Chris. I think he's very clearly the third player between Tamani, Jabari, and him. And he's 23 already. I don't know.
Yeah.
All the reasons we've talked about multiple times.
I'm not going to say that I believe in Chris. I didn't like the pick at the time. I dislike it even more now. But hopefully he gets an opportunity. We didn't know we were going
to get Tamani at the time, I guess.
Yeah, but guys like Tamani being out there, I mean, not to downplay Tamani as if like you can just get a Tamani Kamara, like he's a steal with the 52nd pick, but yeah, I wasn't a fan of the pick at the time, and nothing has changed my mind basically. Let's see. Thoughts on the in-season tournament? Connor asks with the weird capital lowercase question. I mean, I don't know if it's a legitimate question, but it's fun. It'll be fun. Like, next game I want to win because it's an in-season tournament game. Like I want to win it a little bit more than just a regular season game. You know, like I want to be sitting here like 2-0 going against the Suns. Are our third game, right? I don't remember, but like I want to see if we can make the final 8. Like it's kind of fun. Mm-hmm. So I like it. And the courts I'm cool with too, just because it's only going to be like a couple of games, just having a completely unique court. Like, yeah, mix it up, create a little intrigue in November. That's fun.
Let's Blazers Uprise postgame show live from Vegas. Final 4 of the season tournament.
Let's go to Vegas. We're going to Vegas.
We have Gabe and Romp meet us there and play them 2-on-2.
Yeah, finally play them. Absolutely. Let's see. Do you think Ryan should get some spot minutes for his defensive ability, even if it's like 5 minutes? I don't think he's ready. So, I think he should maybe play for the remix quite a bit this year. Actually, I think he's the guy on the roster that could benefit the most from it. Mid-season tourney is conceptually stupid. I fully disagree with that. I don't understand where you utterly pointless garbage tournament. If that's the attitude you have, then yes, it is pointless. You could say all sports is pointless if you have that attitude, you know? Like, it's all about your attitude towards it, in my opinion. Like, if you don't care, it's regular season games. If you don't care about the tournament aspect of itself, it's still regular season games. So, cool. If you do care about the tournament aspect, then that's more intriguing and it's more fun. So, great. Exactly, Elizabeth. What were you going to say, Eric?
Yeah, I used to agree with that. I've come around a little bit on the in-season tournament. I still don't think it like means anything, but yeah, it is fun to be talking about just a little bit different feel to the game on Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking forward to that. Anyway, thoughts on Portland not getting a WNBA team? They didn't get the WNBA team?
There was something today that it's going to be pushed back several years if they get it now.
Why?
I didn't look into it that closely. I just know that apparently I didn't know this until today either. The in-arena changes that Jody was planning at the Moda Center in the off season, she decided to hold those off till 2027. And that's because that would give them, the WNBA team, a chance to play during the summer. But, yeah.
Gotcha. That's kind of lame. Like, why didn't they do it this offseason then? Why does that get pushed back multiple years? Because we're pushing back renovations multiple years. It's kind of weird. But, yeah, they deserve one someday. Hopefully they get one. I know a lot of people wanted them to get one, so hopefully they do. And we'll see what these renovations are. No idea what they have planned, but anyway, I think that's a wrap, Eric. This was a fun post-game show. Thank you to everyone who donated. Thank you to everyone who liked the stream. Let's get above 300 before we leave here. The Blazers beat the Pistons. Fun comeback, fun game. I'm looking forward to hopefully some more wins early on this season. Let's see how good of a season we can get off to. Still figuring out this team. But this team has looked a lot better last couple games. Sharp looks like a freaking star. I dropped a video on Shaden Sharp yesterday that you can go watch if you want to. There was a Hoops Crush podcast this morning. There's the Paul Reed podcast with Philly Take with RB on Hog Media Sports, linked in description. And shout to BetUS for sponsoring this stream. Use the link in the description box below to get 125% bonus. That's a $100 deposit. You can get $125 of free betting, which is awesome. Shout out to them. They have really good promotions, really good customer support, really good sportsbook. So shout out to BetUS for sponsoring the stream. And also, Blazers Uprise Live coming up tomorrow. We'll see what the status is on Scoot, who exited this game with an ankle injury. We will update that tomorrow if we get an update, and we'll also do picks against the spread. Only 4 games, so it's going to be light in that regard. So we'll talk a little bit more about your Blazers tomorrow, and we can take even more of your questions on Blazers Uprise Live, which is on our second channel, Blazers Uprise Podcast, link in description. Shout out to BC, $5 donation, says, thanks for the show. I'm back in supporting Good to have you back. Says, had disagreements on Twitter, but you guys are my Blazers brothers. Appreciate you, bro. We can always move on from any disagreements. At the end of the day, we're disagreeing about sports. It's completely fine. And, this past offseason was very rough on all of us. So we can always unite over this team winning basketball games, right? So good to have you back. Appreciate your donation.
Thank you to you and everyone who donated tonight.
Yep. Feral Roly Pulley says those renovations are just going to be an excuse to raise ticket prices. Yep. Very possible, but I don't know if that's if it makes sense financially. But anyway, yeah, Blazers are Brez live tomorrow on the second channel. Hoops Crush was uploaded today on the second channel. Go see Eric and Crushables, aka Brady, react to the Harden trade live when they were recording, which is pretty funny. So anything else for the stream, Eric?
No, thanks everyone for watching. Fun game, and hope to see you all tomorrow for the Blazers Uprise live stream, and then back again on Friday night for probably a watch party and our postgame show.
Yep, we got you guys covered. Pre-game video on Friday, previewing the in-season tournament. I'll explain how it works for anyone who's confused, and I'm looking forward to seeing that Rip City court and the jerseys, and I'll give you... I saw somebody ask for my thoughts on those. I'll give them after I see them in use for a game. So we'll talk about that on Friday. Looking forward to that. Hopefully you guys have a good rest of your Wednesday and a good Thursday, and we'll catch you next